Yo, peace and blessings. Welcome back. This is the State of the Industry podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Steph Johnson, and the legendary young cinematographer, Daniel Streety, a.k.a. Streety Cinema. What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Hey, man, thank you for taking your time out. We're going to get right into this. Right now, we're dealing with...
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, we're dealing with the LA fires, the Palisades, the Valley, Eaton, Altadena. All these places have been experiencing extreme fires. Streety, you're on the ground out there in LA. I lived in LA for about a decade, but Streety is still out there, born and raised, LA native. Can you tell us what's going on out there?
Man, it is mayhem out here, to even say the least. It's literally been like a ring of fire around my house. We've been on evac warning for like 2 days now, but it's just like utter mayhem all around. We got firemen, trying to get volunteer help work. We're stealing from other fire departments, stealing resources from other fire departments. And it's crazy because 3 days ago, like when this all started, I was like, okay, we got a little fire, but they've been working on it. So, I hope we got some of it contained. And then it was the next day, and then I checked to see how much contained we had, and it was 0%. So it's
crazy.
That's that works, and we're still not really moving forward.
So you're telling me right now, this current moment, that nothing is happening, the fire is still blazing?
Yep. One of the fires, I believe the original Palisades one, is still 0% contained.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. There was another one in my city this morning in Granada Hills.
Wow.
But they hopped on that one real quick. It's already done.
Wow.
Okay.
Yo, first off, shout out to LAFD for really, just being on top of it. Those are some brave people, man. That takes some guts in order to do that job. Some serious guts. Shout out to everybody in LA. I've been just in deep prayer reflecting on it because I was like thinking about even when I moved back to New York right before the pandemic, and I remember that there were brush fires that hit that region right above Glendale and stuff like that. I remember the fires basically reached Burbank. And this was a few years ago. And I noticed that like each year, in the last few years of being there, each year the fires kind of got more intense. I know these last two winters, y'all were having floods, right?
Yeah, last year was completely flooded. At this time, it was raining like every day.
Yeah, and then over the last 8-9 months, it's basically been a drought. Has it been raining at all, or it's been full drought?
It's been full drought. I can't remember the last time it rained here.
Crazy. So wow. Okay, I see. So yeah, because a lot of people are really trying to process the whole series of events that could even lead to. All right, LA is massive. If you haven't been there, it's massive. It's like New York City plus Houston in terms of physical area space. It's just huge. And it's a mixture of different types of terrain. You got flat areas, you got mountainous areas, you have like these little plateaus, these hills. The Valley and main LA, Hollywood, South LA, they're all separated from the Hollywood Hills in certain mountain ranges. And if you don't know the geography of the area, it wouldn't make sense. But if you have been there, or if you look at it on a map, you can see that these mountains are covered by a lot of brush, a lot of trees and things like that. And when it doesn't rain, that becomes basically dry rot wood and the perfect fuel for, even a little bit of ember to catch fire. And I've also been hearing you guys have been having these really strong winds. They're calling them the Santa Ana winds coming up the coast.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy in terms of wind. Like you step outside and I weigh under 150. So, I'd be almost blown away.
We experiencing some wind over here too on the East Coast. It's a little crazy.
Like the East
But
Coast is
yeah, it's
frozen right
more
now.
so.
Yeah, I heard it was like extremely cold out there in New York.
We're used to the cold.
Yeah.
We're used to the cold, but it's snowing in Georgia right now, which is the crazy part. I think the craziest thing about just the weather right now, and even like this episode is gonna be like a time capsule. Somebody's gonna be listening to this years later, like, "Yo, what the hell is going on, Lil?" Like, you know. But yeah, it's snowing in Georgia. It's just freezing in New York, and in LA, it's like the area of the Palisades. Granada Hills, the Valley, Eaton, the Sunset Fire, the combined area is like Manhattan plus a third or some crazy stuff. I was looking online.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm trying to get as much accurate information as possible.
So I got a question for you guys, right? For the people who lived out there in those areas, right? What kind of like demographic was living there? Like what kind of people were there? Like middle class, upper class, lower class people, or just like a mixture?
At this point, it's pretty much touched every class from the very wealthy to the not so wealthy. But specifically, the initial fire, the Palisades one, and where it started is, a very affluent neighborhood.
Yes.
It's a lot of beachfront properties. So think, A-list actors, CEOs, people with a lot of money for the most part are held up over there. And it's just crazy how, they have a beachfront house that's literally on the water. But because of the wind, we couldn't even use the ocean to save some of the houses. So yeah, it's like Palisades is completely wiped out at this point. But yeah, mostly affluent people live over there. And the other fires, like the Altadena one, that of course gets some more like middle class people over there, kind of in the Pasadena area.
Right.
And it's alarming how even people, in the inner city, I have friends that are living in South Central that are evacuating.
Wow.
So yeah, and you would think South Central would be good. And it's kind of ironic how downtown LA is the safest part of LA right now.
That is crazy. Because downtown LA is a mix. Like, it's literally like the set of Judge Dredd. It's two worlds. It's two worlds. It's two different worlds.
There's this guy that's alleged that they allege started the fires. Did that come by? Is that factual information?
Oh yeah, they caught somebody specifically for the West Hills fire.
Wow.
That started yesterday. That was a real arsonist.
How big did that fire get that he started?
I'm not sure the exact number as to like mileage, but I know it was, affecting a pretty big area. That was one that I was really worried about because West Hills isn't too far from me.
Wow.
And it had me it started a full ring of fire because around me I had the kind of the stuff happening with the Hearst fire in the Sylmar area, and then also the West Hills, and there was also a fire on Woodley. So it was kind of just creating a circle around me, and it still is right now, hoping that we can, just live.
Wow. Yeah, prayers out to everybody in the LA area. I'm hoping that everyone is able to get to evacuation points safely if they need to evacuate. If you are in the area, I'm also hoping that I've been reading about the air quality plummeting because of
oh my goodness.
because it's not just wood that's burning. It's also houses, cars, materials and substances that are effectively hazardous, and the air quality has plummeted into basically unbreathable air for the most part. In the closer you are, of course, to the fires, and that's a whole other thing. I remember when there were the Burbank fires, the air quality was significantly impacted for several weeks, and that's another thing. Just another like overall effect. Just circling back, I'm also seeing that like as far as events, there are just a number of cancellations, postponements, specifically in the entertainment industry. Of course, we know Hollywood, Los Angeles is the epicenter of media and entertainment industry. And basically, we've already been experiencing a huge slowdown since the strikes 2023. Really a huge slowdown since the pandemic. The initial, because me and Steph, we were talking about the initial subject matter for this week's episode, and Steph had a great gem. He wanted to basically chop it up on post-pandemic life, how life has been different since the pandemic. And it's like this ongoing thing where you have like another battle. It's like you got to be one of God's strongest soldiers each year, and you got to just wear the armor. And what's the temperature right now though? And what do you feel like is the outlook for the entertainment industry? I know a lot of people are just trying to survive, but what do you think is the impact of this event on the entertainment industry and people and LA and just overall moving forward?
I think that the implications are going to be very large. I've already had a job get canceled I was supposed to be at the end of this month, and it already got canceled because two of the owners of the company that we were shooting for had houses in Palisades.
Wow.
That completely got burnt down. So it's like there's a lot of affluent executive producers and studio guys that live out there. So I could definitely see things getting slowed down by that. This isn't something that's necessarily new to the California people. Like you said, there have been many brush fires before. Of this degree, not necessarily, but I'm confident that we'll be able to push back. And, the Cali people are resilient. But overall, the industry, it's been a struggle. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of, getting hit up for work and then it falls through. A lot of that happening. It's been pretty tough to make things happen. A lot of us have had to get very creative as to ways to, make ends meet. I ran into actually a DP that I look up to. I ran into him on Uber.
Wow.
And it's just crazy that like the perspective of that, somebody that I look up to in the industry is struggling. So, it kind of gave me a little bit of, what's the word, like positive reinforcement that, it's not just me. Because I had some months here recently where I was like, oh my gosh, I might go back to school.
Yeah, everybody's trying to get the eggs to hatch, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to out here trying to make something happen. And
I've been
trying to
hearing
make
rumbles.
that thing happen.
I have been hearing rumbles though that March should be a good month. That people for some reason are waiting until March, and that's going to be like the start of a bloom. Because I remember post pandemic, 2021 I guess technically still has some of the pandemic, but that was one of the best years I've ever had.
Right. 2021 was a strong year. 22 was strong too.
I'm thinking there may be some sort of like a bounce back where producers are trying to make up for lost time, studios are trying to make up for lost time.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of the Survive Till 25 talk from the end of 2023. I've got a slightly different take on it, and I think a few other factors are coming into play. LA Times has reported that this is one of the most destructive emergency events ever recorded in the Los Angeles area, at a total of at least $57 billion in damages and counting. And that's as of Thursday. We're recording this on Friday. This will be released, of course, in a few days from now. So that number is likely to go up.
On another note, too, the Olympics supposed to be out there in California. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that's going to affect the city. Yeah, because I believe it's supposed to be happening in LA. I wonder if that's going to affect. I know that would probably brought a lot of work to the city. A lot of jobs. A lot of people have been employed for a nice amount of time, get their feet wet, network with different people. And I just wonder how is this going to impact the future plans for the Olympics, or will everything be back and running in time? Which I don't believe it will be, but how you guys think this will affect anyway? Will they try to put the Olympic Games somewhere in another city out in California?
Man, it's still very hard to tell.
Right.
If the Olympics started next month or the month after, it probably would already have to be canceled. Mm-hmm. And it's also do we really? If this is in the middle of winter, it's January.
No, we this is 2028.
Oh,
yeah, 2028 games are going to be in LA.
Oh, we should definitely be good by then.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if some legislation changes.
Yeah, that's a huge asterisk. Very likely, but also I think a lot of people are just focused on keeping their head above water right now, staying alive. I've been doing roll calls these last 2 days, just reaching out to people. Some people are just now getting back after 2 days because they're like, yeah, I had to drive all the way down to San Diego to get shelter because everywhere that they went to, all the hotels are booked up, things like that. So it's a lot going on right now where I think on one hand, a lot of people haven't even begun. They're still processing this event and they haven't begun doing that. That is enough time for them to recover and figure out all right, cool. Hey, where can we lay things? That also is enough time to say, hey, F that, y'all need to go to a backup city and figure out another alternative. Who knows? It's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Because in the near time, in the near circle, everything from now basically up to the Oscars had the nominations announcements, the ASC Awards, the Critics' Choice Awards, and there's a few others that I'm missing. But a lot of those award ceremonies and specific events that are entertainment specific, they've all been either canceled, postponed, or they only have virtual announcements for things that'll be held later in the year. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff right now where people are really, some people were fortunate enough to just be able to evac, even though their houses don't have power and things like that. And some people actually have lost everything. A couple of people I know, they've got damages that are catastrophic. And one crazy thing is that insurance providers were dropping fire coverage all throughout 2024 and 23. A lot of insurance providers were dropping fire coverage in LA County and the greater counties in proximity. And that's really crazy because in an event like this, $57 billion in damages, it's okay, well, how are people supposed to recover any of that stuff? If you're well off, it's a huge inconvenience. if you poured, your life savings into a $1, $2, $3, $4 million house and insurance doesn't have your back, it's like, okay, what's the next step? So I think for a lot of people, they're probably like, yo, screw the Olympic Games. They probably thinking screw the Olympic Games at this point. We love the Olympics, but like screw it. A lot of people's lives are up in smoke right now, like literally, not even figuratively. Yeah, that's a crazy thing.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of people that retired ended up moving out to Palisades. So it's not just like, Nepo babies and studio execs. It's also just, humble teachers that retired that are affected by this.
True. Palisades is a really nice part of LA. What's funny, you mentioned a particular DP being an Uber driver. Uber now is pretty terrible. It's basically a Ponzi. But early Uber, 8 years ago, I definitely had a good amount of time, a good amount of my earnings come from Uber, where, hey man, you would go out, you would shoot, you would, have 2-3 days shooting, 4 days shooting, and them other days you would hop in the whip and moonlight and throw in your Ryan Gosling jacket and whip around LA and Uber. Back then it was fairly lucrative. The fees were fair. Yeah, LA was manageable on Uber. Now I wouldn't drive Uber no matter what the conditions, because it's just far worse.